Hello, pimps and players. It's your boy Bro Fresco here. Welcome to the WLTM internet radio show, not a podcast. TM,
No one plays League.
PM, XM, FM. As always, we will be playing some 100% Orange Juice and talking about albums that we like. We listen to music that we like, so you don't have to, but you can if you want. As always, Cruz will link his Twitter in the description. He will tweet out what albums we are doing for the next week, shortly after we're done. But yeah,
as always,
as always,
and as always, I am Jack, aka Dank. We got Cruz the Ruse with us.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, you can take your time with the reply on that. We got Big Al, Alex.
thank God it's Friday.
And Cameron Jamron killed in action.
Menya Zovu Cameron.
It's getting slower each week. Every week it's like, I didn't know you were throwing it to me. I was just, oh, interesting.
All right, so this week we have we're gonna make someone go first. Cameron.
4 albums.
I think I'm the only one that hasn't started yet.
I think as well.
That may or may not be true.
I mean, normally we hit you with we're gonna save the best for last, but I feel like we can't always save the best for last.
Yeah, you can't always say that. Hold on, Isaac, give me 10 seconds. I need to turn down my heater.
Well, I didn't know you could have guns in the city. Am I right?
Alright, I'm a fast boy.
The
Alright.
chopper.
Let's go. Get to the chopper.
I need to turn
Turn
on
down
my
the heater.
space heater, not my
You got fucking ray guns and shit.
yeah, type shit. Don't revive my ass.
Alright, Cameron, make you go first. What's your album?
Okay, so my album, I always forget the name of this album. This album is From the Outside by Hey Violet. Hey Violet is the stupid ass guitar pop band from LA.
Guitar pop is a strong word, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, it's probably a very strong. I mean, I promise there's a guitar. We'll get to that, but I swear there's. It might be a guitar hooked up to a synth, but like it's somewhere. I just don't know exactly where. So yeah, they're from LA. If you had the pleasure of reading their bio on Spotify, I apologize because that shit is cringe as hell. But
I did not read the
Can
Spotify
I pause right? If members of the Breakfast Club were musical phenoms who got into a case of manic panic one day after school and formed a band, they would look and sound a lot like a Los Angeles-based Hey Violet.
that's it. That's
You can stop there.
They're
Yeah.
also on 5 seconds.
No.
No, this is just something I didn't know. They're on 5 Seconds of Summer's record label, Higher Hey
Yeah,
Records.
they are. They opened for them on their tour at some point.
I just want to say also in the Spotify bio, in the first paragraph, they misspelled bass.
Oh yeah. I saw that. Yeah. I don't know. That's just.
I also like how that guy his name is Ian with 2 eyes.
Yeah. Ian.
Ian.
But yeah, From the Outside is their debut album.
The
And,
freshman effort.
So I have absolutely no clue how I found this album. I actually don't remember at all. I have no recollection of like of how I came across this. I actually have absolutely no clue. But so I would like to make the observation that my albums over the past 4 weeks have gotten less masculine over time. we started with
Blueface
Famous
Baby.
Crip.
I would
Very,
argue,
very masculine. He is porn star dick.
Yeah, he was porn star dick.
I would argue that black dresses is more masculine than Golden Drugs was.
That is an argument you can make.
I would also argue
I
that-
think I disagree.
I would also argue that technically black dresses should be the most masculine, as it's 2 men making music. Am I right?
Whoa.
Alex, we went to such links last
I
time
don't
to
know
make
what
it
you're
clear we
talking
didn't
about.
have problems.
I'm kidding. I make a joke, funny reference.
So yeah, and this is where it all comes to a head because it literally does not get, or it cannot get more feminine for this than
I
this for
agree.
an album that I would pick.
I do want to say again, the views of individual members do not reflect the vote of trustees. But yeah, continue.
So, this album is some stupid shit, but I like it because I don't know. It's just like how do I say this? It's the least bad like pop album I've ever heard. Because a lot of just straight up pop albums are just like bad.
I would
like,
actually.
Like they have the one good song and then like it's just like whatever.
I would
But
almost
this,
agree with
like-
that actually.
Oh well, then there we go. That's a start. Almost.
If we're referring to modern age, like past 2010.
Yeah. That is what we're referring to. But this is this I actually enjoyed almost the whole way through.
This is your album.
He doesn't have to like it.
The album. Almost the whole way through. I like this album until you get to track 11, in which case it begins to not sound good.
Is that the?
That's the second to last song on the album.
Yeah.
I would suggest that there's a swan dive earlier.
Yeah.
There's an obvious swan dive. Oh, three songs before that.
Actually, 3 songs. Shit,
Whoa, you guys. Okay, we're gonna have some
okay,
disagreements here.
we can talk about Fuckboy later. my main gripe with this album is that, so if you notice, if you take off the last 2 tracks, it becomes a 10-track album. It also becomes not a 40-minute album. 40 minutes is usually like when you call something a full-length album, technically.
I mean,
Right?
in a very technical sense, anything beyond 15 minutes can be considered a full-length album.
Well, yeah, but I mean, there's different definitions.
Oh, in a very
But,
technical sense, you smell Jack, so.
Yeah,
I mean,
so, like,
that's not even a technical
what
sense.
I'm saying is that 40 minutes is a working definition for full-length album.
I'd say 30 minutes is like...
I would say 40 minutes just to
I would say
just to be
40 minutes.
contrarian to Jack.
Yeah. So, and this album is 41 minutes. So
I would call Jack's an extra full-length album.
And track 11 and 12, like if you just listen to them, they sound like bonus tracks essentially, but they're not bonus tracks. But they literally sound like bonus tracks. Like they don't really fit at like the end of this album. So what I think is that like since this is a major label debut, the label wanted them to have a 40-minute album, so they just slapped those on there.
Mm-hmm.
But Like Lovers Do is trash, and then This Is Me Breaking Up With You is just like it's interesting, but it's just kind of whatever. But yeah, that's but before then I'm cool with the whole album. There's certainly songs I like more than others. Hoodie is in the Pop Is Bop Is playlist. It might also be in the Eternal Bangers playlist. I need to check. But yeah, I would love to hear y'all's thoughts.
First question: is this like an unironic?
Yeah.
Like this? Okay.
Yeah. I unironically like this.
Yeah, I gotta make sure this ain't a Blueface baby, you know.
Oh no.
Cameron doesn't even the Cameron
Yeah, I mean,
like that
like-
too. I don't think you understand.
Yeah, I don't think you understand.
I've learned so much about Cameron in the last 4 weeks. Cameron doesn't ironically like anything.
Yeah, type shit. It's all just the gray area.
All right.
You know- No, go ahead, Jack.
You go.
This wasn't as bad as I was thinking it was gonna be. My main gripe with the album is the lyrical content, which I feel like is pretty par for the course when you get to this sort of a genre. Like, it's just the kind of thing where I like me some really female-forward vocal pop music, you know? Some Tessa Violet's, some the occasional Melanie Martinez type shit, you know? Just the shit that I can play to get the right kind of girls at the party, you know? But
Yes, you.
it's just the which I do frequently. It's just that some of the shit on this album doesn't sound good, and some of it reminds me of shit that I don't like, which makes it harder. I don't like how Hoodie was just a ripoff of Sweatshirt by Jacob Sartorius. I can say it is a ripoff because Sweatshirt did come first. And the thing is, so
That is
Hoodie comes right after guys my age. So I guess the person whose hoodie she owned wasn't a guy her age. So I guess there's some dude that's way older than she is
There's
wearing
some
hoodies.
continuity.
Just
Or-
because
like-
guys my age don't know whatever she said, so I'm never coming back.
Don't
But she
know
keeps
how
the
to
broken
treat me.
zipper and
I,
cigarette butt.
I think you're giving too much like thought into the continuity of a
Yeah, you see,
I'm
of a
just
main
saying.
of a
I
pop
promise
album.
you, they were not thinking about like lyrical.
Yeah, and I
continuity.
can promise you they weren't thinking either, and that's my first issue I have. Don't even get me started on the. I don't know if I would stretch to say magnum opus, but the track entitled "Fook Boy."
Okay.
Which
I gotta
Dude, we can't start on Fook Boy, dude.
I've never felt so personally attacked in a pop song. Personally.
Alright, okay. We can go down the checklist, Alex. Are you tall?
Am I tall?
Yeah.
Average.
Are you fit? I'm saying all things that like she uses to describe the person. Are you fit?
Yes, and all the selfies I take, my head is tilted the same, and my
Yeah.
favorite hashtag
Yeah.
is beast mode.
Beast
Yeah,
mode.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so all of these are not true. You also don't wear your mother's earrings. You also those are like the main things that she says. Anyways, I don't know how you felt personally attacked when that song
I
did
also
not
didn't
describe
like
you at
how
all.
in the intro to My Consequence, I'm pretty sure that's the Rebecca Black "Yeah" from Friday being sampled,
Oh my
It probably
god.
is. I don't know what you're
And-
talking about, but probably.
and they had one of the most I believe it was the opening song. It was the song entitled. I have my list here. Brand New Moves. Actually, sorry, the second track. They had the "I'm the lock and you're the key" line, which is a classic like put your key in my lock type
Yeah, type
that kind of lyric. Yeah, some nasty shit. And they also said "fuck bitches, get money" on the track ODD,
Yeah, that shit
which-
was funny.
which I thought was I just wanted to believe that this bitch like. Just looking at her on the cover and just imagining her up there saying some shit about "fuck bitches, get money," really tickled my peach.
I'm glad it tickled your peach.
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, I'd tickle her peach if I had the opportunity, but it was just like the instrumentals were pretty meh. It was like there wasn't anything that I liked really about it, but there wasn't anything that was like, wow, this makes it aggressively hard to listen to. Like I felt like I was just driving to school in like the 9th grade, like riding in the car my mom puts on the radio type thing. So it wasn't like bad. But I didn't think it was catchy enough to me personally. I didn't think that enough of the songs were like catchy. Especially Hoodie. I just come on, dude.
Slaps.
Literally rips off
You
Jacob
literally-
Sartorius.
I literally cannot recollect that the Jacob Sartorius. Also, fun fact: do you know that Jacob Sartorius' real name is Rolf?
Rolf Sartorius.
Yeah.
I understand why he changed it now.
Who the fuck is Jacob Sartorius?
Jacob Sartorius is like I think he's probably 17 now.
He's
like
probably
one-
17 now.
He came
He's
up
the
on the music.
rapper.
He came up on the music. No, he's a singer-songwriter.
That's Maddie B.
Oh,
Maddie
Maddie.
B. He came up on like the Musically wave, like probably 2013.
It was like
14.
early musically though.
Yeah, like
proto
2014,
Musically,
15, and it was like he was just the teenage girl heartthrob for a pretty. I mean, even still
He
now,
fell off though.
he's still out there killing it, kind of.
Kind of. He's not like Justin Bieber.
Yeah, it's not
I feel
Justin
like that's
Bieber,
what he was
but
supposed to be.
But he has a
you know?
song called "Sweatshirt" about how there's a girl that he likes, and his way of showing that he likes her is you can wear my sweatshirt, and it's literally the same. It's like what would happen if Jacob Sartorius picked her up with Sweatshirt, and then they broke up, so she writes Hoodie. It's like the same. It's like the same song. Conceptually,
Yeah, yeah.
they sound slightly different, but the voices aren't that far off.
Yeah, that's accurate.
That's a good dig at Mr. Jacob.
But yeah, I like
I
that
thought
song.
the
but
album was fine. I'll give it a fine out of 10 rating.
I'm glad that you were able to like recollect. Like you just have Jacob Sartorius in your schema of memories enough that like you would just think
Yeah.
of it. I find that amusing.
When I was
I have no clue what
I
the
was
song is
playing
about.
Tales of Majel listening to this album, and I was like, damn, that sounds like Jacob. That's like I was like a Hoodie. No, Sweatshirt. That's what I came up on. But here we are.
Uh-huh.
What did you think, Cruz?
Oh man.
I know this is right up your wheelhouse. You
So-
do work for the radio.
I do.
Yeah.
I work for a dead medium that I guess I could play this. No.
It's probably top
It's-
100.
Yeah,
It's too pop.
it probably topped. But this is it's not bad.
That's what I'm saying.
It's a top 100. I want to check now.
It's just like sometimes the cringy stuff gets to me, right? Like I can't listen to Fuckboy again. I've listened to it like 3 or 4 times and I can't do it. I just can't do it. It's so it
I'm
hurts.
glad
Like-
y'all hate that song so much.
Like
It's
the
actually-
instrumentals
I got some shit to say. but
and the
we'll get to it.
performance is fine, but just the lyrics give me cancer.
And one thing that I also want to bring up that I find really funny about that song is that they changed the title to FUQBOI, but it still has the explicit tag on Spotify.
Well, yeah, it's still saying
I mean-
fuckboy.
Yeah, but so why wouldn't they just name the song Fuckboy?
Well,
It's
because they wanna
it's for
spell it
style
you.
points.
It's
you
also
know?
you gotta
Well,
put it on the radio. You gotta say.
Yeah, it's for style point.
Well, you can't put it on the
You-
radio
you-
because it
you
has
can't put-
Fuckboy in it.
Well, you can. You just don't say the name.
It's the,
No,
that's
you
like
can't.
half of-
You
no,
literally can't
the
play it.
lyrics
Oh, it
says
is-
the word Fuckboy in the lyrics.
explicit, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
she
you
says
have to-
Fuckboy in the lyrics. and I think
You're
it's funny
so
that they,
Tom Cruise.
I just thought that was amusing.
It's
So
for
why would you just go
style
for-
points, you know.
Why wouldn't you just do like 4UCKB0Y?
It's like when you put the letter U instead of the word U in your title, you know.
Like, where are you now?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Or
just shit
Jack
like
you?
that. Like,
Nothing
literally just
compares
that.
to you.
but I will say that like fuckboy, the lyrics of it give me cancer too. But it's cancer like in the way of like eating spicy food.
Yeah, I understand that, and I have
Yeah,
the same
you-
opinion about guys my age and like lovers do, but
Holy shit,
not a
that's like the
fuckboy.
freaking Bob.
Like I like lovers do.
I think you
Guys
can say
my
I
age,
like
but
guys my age.
The
you know,
other like the other ones,
That's my age is a banger. But...
the other ones are fine. Like I don't find any of them offensive, except for fuckboy.
Offensive.
Yeah.
Did you
they-
also feel personally attacked by fuckboys?
No, I as soon as I heard beast mode, it was over. Like I just my fucking brain turned off. I was like, all right, wait, how many more tracks we got?
That's so funny. That's
4?
A funny ass song.
My
I
favorite
love
part
it.
is that she's able to accurately depict what they are. You know, English conceptually, that is a fuckboy right
I can
there.
see it.
But it makes it worse almost because
Yeah,
it's like,
she's
wow, you're
painting the
actually just.
perfect picture.
Yeah, she's
like,
doing a great job.
But it makes it. I mean, it hurts my soul a little bit. It makes me realize that she's probably dated more fuckboys than anybody that I know, and most certainly more than I have. And sometimes you gotta ask, maybe she's asking for it because she means, or maybe she doesn't like guys my age because they're fuckboys.
They don't know how to
So
treat her.
she wants to know
Please-
where you've
please
been.
stop.
She wants to know where you've been, and she wants your hoodie like lovers do. It's a full circle. Maybe this is a concept
Are you
album.
done?
We didn't give it any
You
credit.
done?
Yeah, are you done?
But what can I
Oh,
say? That's my consequence. What do you think, Jack?
Oh yikes!
I've got a lot of shit I could say about this.
Alright,
Oh.
then hit
Okay,
it off,
okay,
say
okay.
all of it.
So I did like read their fucking Wikipedia article and shit. I wanted to know what the fuck this was and who these people were.
Yeah,
Um,
it's just a
so
pop
so
band.
apparently, like the girls in the band were a part of an all-girl hard rock band before this, that was called Cherry Bomb or something like that.
That's cute as fuck, actually.
And yeah, so they started making this after like the person who was the singer in
Yeah.
that band left.
Yeah, after they
um,
gave up.
Yeah. So and you can and so that's I feel like that's where like the idea of them actually being a band and them being like pop rock in some capacity comes from, and you can tell that influence on a couple of the tracks, you know, especially like the last one. Yeah, so first off, the first thing I want to say is like pop music has a real big problem with producers. This album has like, if you look at the credits, there are
Yeah, I
like
saw.
4 billion producers.
There's
it's-
mad writing credits
And there's so many writing credits, so
and
many
mad
producer credits.
producing credits.
And like you can tell from track to track, like there are albums that shift stylistically from song to song that don't feel like they were written by 4 billion different people, but this album does feel like that, and it's something that really annoys me with pop music. And a lot of the times when I listen, and you know, I feel like I listen to more pop music than you guys do and enjoy more of it. You know, I can get down with some Taylor Swift, some Carly Rae Jepsen's Emotion.
I might
you know?
listen to more than you, but
Oh well, yeah, you probably listen to like at least I know I listen to more than Cruz and Alex, you know.
I know. I put a pop music album in here.
That's a strong. That's a strong term. But so yeah, but like most of the ones I find that I like is when like it's like later in their career and they found like they've like boiled down to like a few collaborators and it's like it works out and like I guess it's a good start, but like it is something that annoys me and I feel like the album would be a lot stronger if it had less producers, less writers, and it was more and a more focused sound. So that's the first thing. It's overarching. But there's okay. I found all the songs that were like supposed to be the singles to be the worst ones, and I thought they were.
So like, what was it, like...
so break my heart, guys, my age, hoodie.
Yeah.
The worst ones. They're all the worst songs.
That's interesting.
And it's because they're the ones that have like the most like over the top production, the most like these lyrics aren't what anyone would ever say in real life ever. Like it's they feel like ugh.
Yeah,
they feel like pop music sludge. It's like it's
God My
insidious.
Age and Break My Heart especially, like they have like that one noise that was invented in probably like 2013. I can't describe the noise, but like I don't know if you know what you're talking about, but it has that one like almost bass level noise that like it's very interesting. Like you just hear it and you're like, wow, this is pop music right here.
Yeah, so I was very annoyed by those songs, but I found all this like songs in the middle of the album to be quite all right. Actually, I when I was listening to the album for the first time, the second song came on. I was like, okay, I'm gonna like this one because it's like it starts and it's just like disco beat. I'm like, I can't. I'm a sucker for that shit. But the stuff from My Consequence, through like basically through everything except for the last song, I thought was pretty good. So yes, I did enjoy Fuckboy. her vocals, the lyrics are like, yeah, whatever, but her vocals are like she starts pulling like a Gerard Way from My Chemical Romance on it. Like she sounds like him. It's actually like it's good. I like her performance on that song, and I do feel like that song is one of the ones that instrumentally feels like it does more convey them trying to be a pop rock band of sorts. And I also like most of the stuff in the middle. ODD was weird because I'm 90% that's a cover. I'm pretty sure it's Boulevard of Broken Dreams. I'm 90% that the music behind it is Boulevard of Broken Dreams. Like,
well, then the writers and producers should be like some people.
I know. I looked at the writing credits and I don't see any writing credits for it.
Yeah, so maybe you're just hearing some shit because it would be there.
Oh,
it would have to.
It should be.
It's definitely not Boulevard of Broken Dreams, by the way. I gave her like 5 seconds of a listen. I can see what you're saying because it's that kind of like
she
slow.
does like it's like she has the humming melody where she goes like da 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 da, and in Boulevard of Broken Dreams it's just da 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 da.
Yeah, I mean, and it's almost
that song it was so uncanny. Even if that song isn't actually like a musical ripoff of that song or another song that I've heard before, it's too uncanny. I can't.
I'm not saying it's not a musical ripoff. It wouldn't surprise me. They already ripped off Jacob Sartorius on the same way. they have no respect for the cookie jar, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. The best.
I literally figured out like 3 days ago that ODD didn't stand for anything. It was just like odd. Like that's what she means.
I was actually just looking at the Genius lyrics page because I thought it would be
Somebody would say this is a ripoff of Boulevard of Broken Dreams.
just to see if someone would say that, but apparently ODD does stand for something.
Oh, does it? Well,
Oppositional defiant disorder, which I've never heard of.
Yeah, that probably doesn't exist.
Yeah. It's,
Jesus.
I'm just saying.
What is savage? But yeah. So best songs were My Consequence, which I like the chorus of. It was the lyrics felt better than the other songs. They felt like they were not as cliche, and pretty sure that's song with a line about like when you spill your guts, they don't go back in. And I was like, oh, that's clever.
Yeah.
Did you hear the
And,
Rebecca Black part on that song?
I know what you mean when I listened to it. I was like, oh, I get what he means by that, but I don't care. I enjoyed Fuckboy. It's pretty all right. Unholy is also good, and Like Lovers Do is good.
I'm trolling, but whatever. That song is literally yuck. I literally don't have that song saved.
You have every other song saved for that one.
Yeah. Like when I listen to this album, I have that song just off.
But I enjoy the girl's singing voice. She reminded me a lot of Hayley Williams from Paramore.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
So the other day we were in the car and Cruz was looking at my phone. He's like, "Why the fuck you listen to Paramore?" And I was like, "Oh, she's the one girl sounded like her."
Paramore's
It was something that I especially noticed on the first song, which I didn't like the first song, but I did like her voice on the song.
It struck me on the cover too, because I feel like at least some of the early Paramore stuff was very much like she has red hair. You know what I mean? And this one's the same thing, but with pink.
That's such a meaningless like.
Well, I'm just saying,
connection.
maybe stylistically they're trying to go for kind of a Paramore, like early Paramore type thing, but just skipping right to the pop stuff instead of doing like the little almost alt rock phase.
I mean, like the thing is, like Paramore was like an alt rock band for like 3 albums.
That's what I'm saying. So they're doing like the early image with the now music.
I guess. I want to say, fucking hate the album cover. Put yourself on the album cover.
Cover? Why are you hating?
Which dude on the album cover do you think you are?
Wait, which one of them do I think I am?
Yeah, I think
I'm the singer. I'm definitely pink hair, put my arm over my head.
Yeah.
Person.
With the shirt that's too small for you.
With a what do you mean with a skirt that's too small for me?
A shirt that's too small.
Yeah. I like to show that tummy, you know.
I want to be the bitch on the right.
I'm far left.
The one that's like jumping rope.
No, she's putting her arms like, what the fuck you guys doing, you know?
Yeah, I thought we were getting pizza.
She's questioning the guy who's putting his hands down his pants. Yeah, I don't like the album cover. Don't put yourself on the album cover unless you can do something quirky with it.
I love how it has a parental fucking advisory sticker on it. It just looks so out of place with the rest of the artwork.
I actually really like the album cover. I like that it's like, you know, they have like the drawn thing, the aesthetic.
It's like gorillas.
Like gorillas. Yeah, they are a fake band. All these people aren't real. EAM is absolutely a fake nigga.
I like how she's outside of the frame too, the lead singer. So they're in this box and she's stepping outside of the box because she's operating.
She's from the outside.
Y'all are thinking too deep here.
But I'm gonna change my ratings to reflect my current views of the album.
I don't think that the her being outside of the frame is unintentional, but I do think you guys are thinking too much about it.
Nah,
to have noticed it.
I think if you don't think about it enough, then there's not enough for you to appreciate.
I don't appreciate the album cover. What can I say?
No, I just mean music included. Music included.
I thought about this album more than you guys did. Fucking dab.
Oh wow, dab.
Yeah. So if they make another album, they should try to sound like a band. They should stick to like one producer and write all their songs with that producer.
Where's the guitar? Which song has the guitar in it?
There's guitar on the last one.
This is me breaking. Oh, I remember that one. That song.
I swear to God, it's just a guitar hooked up to a synth. Like that's what they're doing.
Oh,
there's guitar in Fuckboy. There's guitar in actually a lot of the tracks. It's just not very it's not like the guitar playing is just dun dun dun.
Yeah,
dun,
like it's
dun,
not like they're doing
no
it.
power chords.
It's just like
Where's my doom metal riffs?
It's just like basic slightly distorted guitar tone playing power chords. That's what it is.
Got it.
One thing I did forget to mention was that I felt like the song Like Lovers Do was like the dude who wrote it probably wrote it for Melanie Martinez, and then she was like, no, actually I don't want this one. He's like, well, okay, but somebody's gotta sing it. So hey, Violet was like passing by the studio that day and was like, yo, new music, dude.
That's really how songwriting works too.
And he's like, yo, I got some music for you, and they're like, cool. we'll sing this one. Just especially that instrumental, it sounded like a little like childhood type thing. I don't really know how to explain. It's like it just sounded really like childish, but like you know what I mean, like aesthetically. That song was a low point for me personally.
Yeah,
I enjoyed the
that
vocal.
song is like dumpster fire garbage. Like,
I enjoyed the vocal performance in the chorus a lot. Whatever. I guess I'm on the.
Yeah, you over there, nigga.
I like that you also disliked it, but you disliked everything that we liked.
Yeah. Just the
I mean,
the
I
about
liked a
face.
majority of the album, but I liked the stuff that you guys didn't like. Because apparently, even though I'm the guy who likes pop music, I don't like the shitty pop music.
Yeah.
Yeah, you only like good
Hoodie's
pop
not
music
shitty
like
pop
Taylor
music,
Swift.
Hoodie's just a banger, yeah.
Hoodie was better than Break My Heart and Guys My Age. I'll say that. But it's I don't think it's
Hoodie
as good
fucking
as
slapped,
I don't think it's as good as My Consequence or Unholy, which I think are the quality songs on the album.
I just don't know why she kept the cigarette butts and the broken zipper.
The cigarette burns.
Cigarette
I
burns.
no, I
yeah.
thought it was Burns, but the more I listen to it, the more I'm pretty sure she's saying cigarette
Is she
butts.
saying
But she's not
it
saying.
it
she's
sounds
talking
like
about the
it.
burns on the hoodie?
That's stupid. Why they keep the broken? Whose hoodie has a zipper?
Why are you just gonna
all
rip
my
off the
hoodies have
zipper, like, for
zippers? What the
what?
fuck?
If you don't wear pullover hoodies,
I don't have
then-
zipper hoodies anymore.
Yeah, I don't fuck with
Actually,
you if you can't just pull it over. You know, treat that shit like a cop.
Wow.
Anybody else have any other remarks
What
about
the fuck?
from the outside?
Hey, can we backpedal here? Can
Pull
we
it
go
over
back?
like a cop.
Can we go back over there?
I guess you don't pull over the cop.
No, he pulls over you.
Yeah, pull it over like a freaking. Yikes.
What
What do we think? Anybody else have any other thoughts about the album?
I like the album cover.
Thank you, Cruz.
I think that if I met,
Thought it
if
was
I met
nice.
the lead
It gave
singer-
me an aha vibe, you know, with pink, you know.
If I met the
What you
lead singer of,
Have you seen the video?
it's because it's a comic book, Jack.
Yeah.
Okay.
If I met the lead
Yeah,
singer of Hey
okay.
Violet at a party, I think I'd go for it.
Oh, I just went to Aha's page on Spotify. I just want to point out that the first 3 songs on their thing is "All Take on Me."
Hell yeah.
That's hilarious.
Oh.
I'm gonna listen to that song in a little bit, which is probably for the best.
A little bit.
Quality
Song's,
song.
song's fine.
That song, the problem with that song is that that song is firmly in the category of shit white people break out in song to.
Oh
And
yeah.
one of the things I hate most in this world is white people breaking out in songs.
It's white people.
Dude,
Yeah.
I agree. There was this time when I was at work, and we had stayed for like so late because it was like a game day,
Mm-hmm.
and everyone was fucking exhausted at the end of the day, and someone pulls out their damn phone while we're all doing dishes at the end of the night and starts playing fucking Bohemian Rhapsody, and I clocked out. I clocked out right there.
I'm literally going to turn that shit off. Like if I'm at a workplace, like
I should have turned it off. I really should have.
Jack
I'm
firmly
literally just
separates
gonna
himself.
walk over and be like, turn that white people shit off, and then it's just gonna turn off.
Jack firmly separates himself from the thralls of white people culture by picking a world album this week.
Uh-huh.
I guess that's the segue.
Did you
That's the
call it the
segment.
World album?
Yeah,
does that
my album
mean?
is it is a.
Is it 2 niggas kissing once or one?
It's obviously one nigga kissing twice.
I
So
don't like
yeah,
asking the question.
my album is a foreign album. It is It is
You forgot the name of it.
Sebastian's Total, which is it came on 2011. It's his debut album. He made a name for himself in the mid 2000s, making remixes for like famous artists like Daft Punk and Justice, and a lot of pop artists too. He signed to Ed Banger Records, which is the same record label that Justice signed to. Lots of which is run by the people who manage Daft Punk.
So he is
Kind
French.
of. Yes, he is French.
Okay.
Yes, as you probably expected. This album was kind of. He took his time making a debut, because this came out in 2011, and at that time, like, the entire French house thing kind of died. These Like in it, like culturally, like in terms of electronic music, EDM was starting to take over at that point. The EDM, of like the Skrillex style bro step and shit, that stuff. So kind of a late addition to the French house canon, but also, in my opinion, one of the best. It's probably, I would say it's third place behind Discovery and Cross. And he's been saying he's gonna make a second album for a while now. He hasn't done it yet. When is it coming? But I discovered this album through I listened to some of Sebastian's remixes before, but I had not actually heard the album because or heard his original stuff, and I don't really know why. But I was on SoundCloud trolling around one day, and someone made a shit post about some like remix thing where they basically put like a Vocaloid vocal line over the song Arabesque, which is the 13th song on this album, which is actually the most like Daft Punky sounding song on the album. So given that Daft Punk is my favorite shit, and I was like, damn, I need to listen to that, and that's how I found this album. It so yeah, it's French house. It's more on the electro side of stuff, where has a lot more harsh sounds, a lot more glitchy production. But yeah, it's got a lot of great sampling choices and a lot of great electronic grooves. I like it a lot. And yeah, the cover is the dude kissing himself, which is it's actually one of my favorite album covers. I like it a lot.
Is self-love gay?
Yes.
All right, then he's gay.
You think it's a problem being gay?
No, I'm just saying.
I'm just saying that you like the album cover.
Just stating the facts.
See, I was with you for most of what you were saying, Jack, because my favorite song on the album is also Arabesque. Or is Arabesque. I don't know if you would say that your favorite song on there is Arabesque, but my favorite one on there was definitely that. But I mean, because I was getting, Daft Punk / kind of like Hit Vibes era, Saint Pepsi vibes, just that kind of like disco / future funk thing.
Yeah.
But everything that you were saying about the electro or like the harsh sounds, that was just the stuff that I really like heavily disliked. I really disliked quite a few of the songs that had that like as the main driving element, like the song Dog with 3 Gs. The songs, especially Motor. I think Motor was probably my least favorite song on the album.
I expected Motor to be
just because it just I don't know, but I liked songs like Organia or Organia, however you would pronounce that. That went more of like the kind of futuristic Tron, like I'm thinking like Tron soundtrack kind of vibe, where it's like it's heavier, but it's like it's more rhythmic and it's less like I wouldn't say abrasive because it's not really the ones that are more aggressive. It's less aggressive than the other ones that go that direction. And I was glad that at the very least it was spread out enough that it wasn't like 10 really loud songs, 3 disco tracks, and then the rest was like future stuff. I liked that it was spaced. But the other song that I really didn't like was I really didn't like the MIA feature personally. I thought it was kind of irrelevant.
Yeah.
I wasn't really a big fan of that one. I think I would have liked some of the songs more. Oh, also Frustra was disgusting to listen to. It's only a 27-second song, but that song hurt my soul a little bit to listen to.
Oh wow!
But I think that the songs that I did like,
it's less bad if you like listen on speakers and not headphones.
I was listening on I guess I was listening on headphones technically, but I don't know. It's just kind of like it just sounds like a dog eating dog food right after the song called Dog Goo Goo. So it's like I don't know. It just didn't sound very. I just didn't like the way it sounded. But I would say the songs that I did really like really saved the album from the songs that I didn't like. Like Arabesque is a super banger. That song's really fucking good.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite of that kind of style of music, which is kind of very traditional French house stuff in the Discovery vein. Which that stuff is like very obvious inspiration for a lot of the future funk stuff that is kind of.
Yeah, I guess I would say the future funk did come out after this, so I guess I would technically say that.
Yeah, like
that Hit Vibes gives me an Arabesque vibe technically.
Yeah, so I did say that this kind of music was killed by dubstep and EDM, but it did resurge after like future funk basically is the modern movement of French house music, which is very exciting to me as a fan of the genre.
That
Being
and what is it called? City House. Is like the Japanese shit too.
Yeah.
What do they call that
So, I mean,
shit?
city pop is like
City pop. That's what it is.
city pop was an old genre, but it is like the main sample source for a lot of future
Newer
funk
stuff.
shits.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, I kind of expected you to like at least those kinds of tracks on a piece. I knew you were a fan of Hit Vibes. And
I'm a big fan of Hit
similar
Vibes.
stuff. Yeah.
Less of a big fan of some dude recording the sound of his car starting up for 4 minutes and releasing it as an electronic track.
Hell yeah. You hate him, but whatever.
Oh, and another thing that I forgot to mention is that Organia is actually technically a bonus track. I forgot that when I put the album in, but I thought since it's just one track and it's 2 minutes long, I didn't think it was important to.
It saved the album, because if the album ended on Frustral, this would have been worse.
He would have lost a point.
Yeah. It would have lost several points, actually.
Damn. Unlike Alex, I did not dislike anything on this album.
Oh, nice.
It is loud. It is right up your alley.
I liked the whole album. Especially, I actually liked the songs that Alex disliked more. You know, which is
The loud songs.
Yeah, I that's as I would have expected, honestly.
Yeah, as I'm sure anyone would have expected.
That's par for the course.
It gave me it reminded me of Crystal Castle's first album, which I actually really liked that album. And like,
good comparison.
I don't know if it's necessarily like a correct comparison, but that's what like Dog and Motor kind of remind me of a little.
Yeah, I can see that.
Also, I really like the way the album was structured, where it's just a bunch of interludes, like just sparse throughout the album. Because my favorite vaporwave album is kind of structured the same way, where it's like it's an amount of songs, and then there'll be a thing called a palette cleanser, and then like the album will go to like another section of like songs that sound similar, and then there'll be another palette cleanser. I think all in all, that album is in like 6 sections, and I kind of think of this the same way, like the way he did it. So I really like how it was structured. And yeah, I think that's kind of how he meant it.
Yeah, that it is that's something that I've always found as a strength of the album. Which one of the things that I also like about using interludes is that like a lot of like the interludes aren't, they are songs. They have like beats that are interesting in their own right, but they're a lot of the stuff that's more chaotic and abrasive are the interlude tracks. There definitely are some songs like Motor where they aren't interlude tracks and they are very abrasive, but you know, so a lot of stuff that's like the most chopped up is the interludes. So it's a great way of getting those kind of interesting beats in the album without having them being full-length tracks.
Yeah, that definitely plays a part in it. But besides that, yeah, I don't know. I just like so like obviously like when I listened to this, it reminded me of you know, Discovery, you know, the legendary album. Except
the one and only.
This was just better. Like,
you're wrong about that, but like,
I mean, this was literally just a discovery that I enjoyed. It was interesting because I didn't necessarily know that was possible.
This was everything Discovery wasn't, but not in a good way.
Dang. But yeah, like, I don't know, Discovery was like just not for me, but like something about this, just I liked it a lot more. But who knows what that something is?
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I think this is much more listenable than Discovery. Like, it's actually just interesting instead of whatever the fuck they were doing in that one.
Well, I see we have some fucking plebeians.
Yeah, that actually surprises me.
I thought you would have liked this less than Discovery, actually.
Oh no, this is much more interesting. It actually
I
has
thought Cruz
like
would hate
thought into
electronic
it.
music.
But yeah, my favorite parts of the album are the interludes, because they actually like try to spice shit up and do some things with sounds, and it's interesting. And I think some of the songs are fine, and a lot of them are forgettable because I don't listen to electronic music, so it's just noise. But at least it's interesting noise. At least they're not trying to tell me like to do my homework or to stay up all night to get lucky, you know? All the songs on
Yeah, all the songs on Discovery.
on Discovery.
You KKB tells you to do your homework.
That's why I don't listen to KKB. Fuck them.
Oh.
But yeah, I liked Motor. I liked Tetra. I liked,
Tetra was my favorite song.
Yeah, I thought by far Tetra I think is my favorite. But CTFO can GTFO. Honestly, that shit sucks. That shit sucks so hard.
I actually didn't mind that song.
Dude,
If
all
I
of
had to pick a-
all of the
was
featuring
surprised.
tracks are garbage. Like
if
they
I
should
had to
just
pick a
fucking
song
leave.
to delete, it probably.
you don't-
would be
you don't
that
even
one
like
just
Love
because
in
it
Motion?
fits the
No, I don't
release.
like Love and Motion.
That song's just so like.
I do have one question. Is this Paper Planes came out in like what? Like 08 or 09, right?
I think Paper Planes was like 011. Hold up.
Well, do you think it was 11? Because I'm saying like so this is an MIA feature on a French album.
Oh no, I'm absolutely trolling. It's 07.
07, okay. So because like I mean I'm not gonna say that MIA's career dropped off because I don't listen to her music like in the first place. But I wonder, was this just like the height of her career? So they were like, let's throw her on this song.
What the hell is
it-
MIA?
She's a female musical artist, I believe from was it Sri
Yeah.
Lanka?
Yes,
something?
I believe Sri Lanka.
And she did that song Paper Planes that got immensely popular. And
Yeah.
like
You probably
the
heard
early
it,
part of
you
this
just
that
don't
you've 100% heard it.
If you've watched Slumdog Millionaire, you've heard it. But I don't,
And
you don't
if
watch
if
it,
you've
so-
been to any public place, you've heard it.
Yeah.
And she's just so I didn't know if it just that felt kind of shoehorned in a little bit, to be fair. But I didn't know if that was just because she was trying to recover her career or if this was still when she was extremely like still putting out a bunch of shit.
Yeah, I don't know what she does nowadays, but it's probably just chilling.
I think she did a song
Probably
with
made a
Nicki
lot of money off
Minaj
of the
recently.
album.
I think she had a Nicki Minaj feature recently, or she was featured on a Nicki Minaj song.
Shrug.
It came out of nowhere because I was listening to it and I was like, damn, is that MIA? She out here?
Yeah.
And I was like, damn,
Yeah,
that is
I didn't know
MIA.
if it was that MIA or not.
I don't know if it was that MIA. I don't know if it was a French MIA. Monsieur in Action. Some shit. I don't know. I'm surprised that Cruz was vibing with other shit though. It kind of shocks me.
I used to listen to fucking
Dubstep.
dubstep religiously.
Yeah, and I thought you would have been like, damn, dude, dubstep's
That is
garbage
true.
now that I think about it.
No, fuck, put me on the fucking
UKF dubstep playlist? Hi-fi dubstep beats to chill and relax
yeah,
to.
let's fucking go, dude. Like, I still like electronic music. It has to be really good, or something I really like. It doesn't have to be good, actually.
Obviously.
I mean, yeah, obviously, considering that you like dub stuff and you don't like Discovery, I mean, fucking obviously.
Oh shit!
Yeah, play the game, idiot.
I was thinking about fucking Discovery, and I thought my turn was over a long time ago. I was actually just memeing, but yeah, I don't know. I think if it didn't have the interludes, I wouldn't like it as much, because the songs are not that great. They kind of go on for too long, I think. Yeah, they go on for 2 minutes too long each song. Each song that's 4 minutes can be cut in half and it'd be great.
Dang. I only listen to this on my speakers. I only listen to any album except for my own, obviously, like on speakers. It's because I usually have speakers now. I usually just use speakers, and I don't know. It just worked, like, because you can just zone out and do some other shit while it's going on. But if you're sitting there listening to it, it's certainly like it would probably be worse.
Yeah, most of the time I listened to it, I was like studying, like, and then every time I'd pull out my phone while I'm studying, it'd be an interlude track. And I'm like, I guess I gotta save it, but like, come on, guys, like, make a good song. You can do it. I see the potential.
I mean, that's better than the last time I tried to show you anything actually good, so, you know.
Maybe the strategy is just to show Cruz shit that's mediocre and he'll think it's like the next best thing.
Hell yeah.
That might be the good methodology.
Yeah, maybe. Well, I guess I'm kind of happy that you guys all thought it was at least listenable.
Yeah, I gave it a 3.
Yeah, I was expecting some like hard shit from all of you, honestly.
Well, you guessed
No,
wrong, I
you have
guess.
to be Cameron to get that treatment.
You picked the wrong album.
Yeah, I had to be Cameron to get that treat. Yeah, that's a good
Yeah, I
one.
bet if I picked this album, you just flame it, Alex.
I don't know. I mean, I gave both of you and Jack got the same score this week, so it was chill. You guys both got 5s because it wasn't garbage. It's the first time Cameron's getting a positive score on the podcast. Or he's actually yet to have a 5. It's the even score. Actually, the second time I gave Golden Drugs a 5 as well. I take back what I said.
Golden Drugs is slaps. What the fuck? What's your problem?
You gave Black Dresses a 5, and then you put it down to a 4. I thought you put it up to a
No,
5.
no. I think it's Black Dresses. What is that at now?
Because you said that you gave it a 5, and then when I told you that they're transgender, you
No,
turned
Black
it to a
Dress-
4.
No, and then I gave it a 6.
Oh, you gave it a 6. Oh, wow.
Because we're accepting.
Shit, we're astro traveling.
Yeah, we're astral projecting that score right up to 100 soon.
Uh-huh. Damn it, damn. I'm about to fuck
Because
you up.
I try to use 5 as the cutoff, so like anything below a 5 I won't ever listen to again, and things above a 5 I probably would, and then at the 5 it's like it depends, and so I acknowledge that both yours and Jack's albums are something that I can 100% see myself listening to again at some point.
Well, then there you go. So the only negative score is Famous Crib. Yeah.
Is that accurate? Yeah. For you at least.
This is the 4th episode.
Yeah, for you that's the lowest. I also actually yeah, that's just the lowest overall.
Famous Grip is a masterpiece.
I would say that I don't think I would mind listening to this like I study again, but like if it involves anything like besides like not paying attention to the music, I just got to go next.
I'll have to put it in the playlist.
Cruz, have you listened to Cross?
No, I think I've listened to a couple songs, but
Listen to
Good
it.
album.
Like it's closer to this than it is to Daft Punk.
it's just like I'm not like, man, I need to listen to some fucking electronic music. I'm just fucking fiending for it.
Jack would say that's your problem.
Yeah, like I'm not looking for fucking.
If you don't have a boner for fucking that music all the time, then
Maybe when I'm trying to get some lo-fi
Pretty-
hip hop beats, maybe that's when I should be like, okay, instead of that, I should listen to electronic music.
You should be
Right.
like lo-fi hip hop beats is literally just low effort future funk.
God, I love low effort. That shit's so good. I literally don't have to pay attention.
And future funk is just low effort French house.
Well, my favorite part about lo-fi hip-hop beats to study and relax to is that they do. My favorite thing that modern music has started doing is taking clips of old audio that no one's ever heard of, slapping it in there, putting a fucking like filter on that bitch, and then just letting it play, and then like having like 4 BPM in the background. I dig that so much. So if your shit does that, we're good to go. Like you're already like a 6 or a 7. Like I fiend for it.
That comes out for next week. It does kind of does that.
Well, yeah.
Any
but
other thoughts on Sebastian?
I would recommend you listen to Cross because some of the harsher tracks on that album feel like some of the interlude tracks on this one.
alternatively, you could just take apart your washing machine.
Oh, if we record the washing machine sound or the drying machine sound, it might maybe turn out better than fucking Sebastian.
I'll say yeah, because you're dancing on that line, you know, when you do that.
The washing machine sound is too low BPM for that, unfortunately.
No, you just speed it up.
No, you speed it down and you take the gain off.
Nightcore
Yeah.
washing machine.
You throw that shit in a pop filter. You put a saturation on it, dude. You're good. You edit that waveform.
You
You're
guys have
fine.
no idea what you guys are talking about.
then you put some reverb, and then you Hashinshin it or some shit.
Yeah. We're out here.
Throw a splockifier on it. You're good. Put it through echo filtration, and then you use radar nanotechnology on it.
Radar nanotechnology.
The nano machine.
Yeah.
The fucking
Turning
nano
the
machine,
frog
son.
again.
Oh, that's.
It's all in
Yo,
the
what's up with
family.
this guy and fucking hugging himself on these covers?
He likes himself. What's the problem?
It's all from this. It's all like from
Self-love.
the same album era. So like they're all like
Yeah, love yourself.
Wait, shout out
please.
to him for apparently having songs that he put out as early as 2016 or 2006 rather, on this album as well.
Oh yeah, like it is not it wasn't like stuff where it was like, oh, this is destined for this album. Which is
Yeah,
one of the
he
reasons why.
wasn't making this shit when he was making the album.
No, I mean a lot of it was, but like one of the reasons that I don't think that this is as good as like a Discovery is that it is maybe not there. It does not necessarily feel like as cohesive an album experience.
It's past
Like
its time.
I mean, there were actually people who were reviewing this when it came out who were saying that this feels some of this stuff is old. It feels dated from like the mid 2000s. It's like
Yeah, because it was from the mid 2000s.
I mean, yeah, it was from the 2000s, and it's like I disagree with that because I think that this shit is radical, but some people just have shitty taste. Yeah. Who wants to go next?
It's like Cruise Go.
Oh, all right.
Save him for the best for last.
Okay,
I'm just
boys.
because I'm afraid that we might have the conversation again on the last album, so
Okay,
I'm not giving
so-
us time for that.
What conversation?
The conversation.
You don't know what you're talking about.
So I chose Antics by Vundabar, whatever the fuck,
Gator
something like that.
bar.
I have no idea who these people are. Well, I've listened to Antics a lot. I've listened to Antics since 2016, and I think I fucked up. I'm pretty sure I was supposed to pick Gawk because Gawk's better. It's their album in 2015, but I didn't listen to Gawk, so I was like,
Maybe Gawk was better.
yeah, I'm pretty sure it has more bangers, and yeah, but I picked this album because no one fucking talks about Vundabar. Like, not in the
Wunderbar
fucking
stays slept
Yeah,
on.
for good reason.
Literally
for
being
Wunderbar reason.
being slept on. So I was just like, well, fuck it. Someone's got to talk
Somebody's
about it,
gotta do
right?
it.
Someone's got to do it, right? So I'd like to hear what y'all think.
Well,
What did you think, Jack?
I'd never heard of Vundabar.
No one has.
Yeah, it's. I don't want to say that it's surprising because I don't. Because like, while I think this album is good, I don't think it's like super remarkable. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think like you're gonna have people like going around being like, "Oh, this is so amazing! It's so different. You need to hear this." It's gonna be like, "Oh, if you like blank, you might like Vundabar." You know, because it is
Yeah,
It's
it's
good
like a lot of things
music.
you've probably heard before. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good independent rock music, but have I is it like super unique? Do I need to listen to it? Like, I enjoyed the album all the way through every time I listened to it. And I especially enjoyed songs like Plateau, which had more of a kind of like bluesy vibe to it. Kind of actually, like when that song, every time that song came out and I hear the opening riff, it's like I'm like, this really feels like it could have just like been on some kind of like on like a classic rock record, and no one would question it.
There's
But,
a few songs on the album.
Yeah, so
I
there's
like
there's
that.
like a few there's a few songs in the album that really felt like more a little actually more like rock oriented than a lot of indie rock is, and that was something I enjoyed about it a lot. But
What did you
otherwise
think,
it was
Cameron?
So,
What's
what I
your
thought-
what's your hot take?
okay, so I guess the hottest take. This was the lowest rated album this
Mm.
week. It was a dose because essentially, besides Greenland and Holy Toledo, this whole album was forgettable. It just sounded like mildly worse versions of things that like I've heard before. But it wasn't bad. It was just like it was whatever essentially. And I mean that's like my only real take on the album, quite honestly. It's just that like if it were an album worth of like Greenland and Holy Toledo, like it would be better, but like people can't do that because sometimes you're just not good enough. was really just unfortunate. But yeah, I mean that's really the only thing I thought about this album.
See, I don't know, dude. I was with Jack when he was saying that it sounds like similar versions of other things,
Yeah,
but I don't understand how that's a bad thing. Because
it's not a bad thing. It's just
it's the kind of thing where if like
it's a good thing if if you really like those other
yeah.
things.
Well, and the thing
And
is, I
like,
think this is
but
more.
like, I don't necessarily like. am a big fan of like just like the casual indie rock thing. Like, I only like this kind of genre enough to where I like the most like I like catchy song. I
It's
guess
just
because I have a
because
lot of songs saved that like sound like this album. That they're just like the catchiest song that band has.
Yeah, in that one album.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like it's the same thing now with Greenland and Holy Toledo. There's just 2 more songs to add to that long list, essentially. And then just the whole rest of the album is just whatever.
well, because what I mean is
I can see that.
because Jack made the observation that he was saying that it's, it sounds like a lot of other stuff that's in the same vein as it, which I
Yeah.
agree with. But then he also conceded the part that they're much more classic rock, like 60s and 70s classic rock, garage rock influenced than like.
Wow, I wouldn't know about that.
I wouldn't
Well,
say like
because
I
they-
actually wouldn't say like
I would say a good half of the album, at the very least, is that vein, is the classic rock, garage rock type vibes.
yeah, I would agree with that, but I don't.
Which
I
I
wouldn't say-
I would be personally hard pressed to think of more than, I don't know, a couple, if that many, indie rock bands who have that specific flavor. Because this is on more of like the I'm surprised this isn't on like modern rock radio type vein indie rock for me personally. This seems like it has much more appeal than, like than the Arcade Fires or, like just more like just inherently, because there's some is the thing you get when you get indie rock is you get to the point where it's like there's a point where people just like it because like it's artsy, like how Arcade Fire had to blow up, and like Arcade Fire, Radiohead, for example. I'm not gonna. Radiohead's a little different than indie rock, but those kind of things, you get like, okay, so they're acclaimed, and that's why they're popular. And then you have things that are just popular, and I feel like this songs off this album, Greenland, Holy Toledo, Sad Clown, Planes, could be those songs if more people just knew about them, because they're just quality songs. It's just quality writing all the way through. And it's not trying. There's not like, it's not trying to be it's not trying to like have 6 songs that are influences and then like, oh, here's us doing our own little thing. It's like they're staying true to what I'm guessing they take really strong influence from, which is good because it makes it sound better. Because I feel like if this was more, I think I liked it more because it was reminiscent of other bands in the same vein. Like Sheepdogs comes to mind as a band that does a similar thing, and I'm trying to think of another one, but that was I got a lot of those vibes from this, which was a good thing because that's the indie rock that I personally quite enjoy the flavor of. But I do agree, with Cameron that if this isn't necessarily what you like, then it's gonna fall in that same category as just with stuff you don't like. But if it's something that you do like, then I feel like it'll be on the high end of that.
Yeah, it's just like I think it's just nothing. It's not extraordinary, and that's why I picked it. It's like it's not a fucking like. If you see like this like album cover, you're like, it's that album. I gotta fucking do it, right? Like I gotta buy it. I gotta see it. It's just I don't know. I think it's like a baseline of like what indie rock should be trying to do. I think
Exactly.
because it actually is quality. And
There's
there's so much below this that it's actually just fucking hilarious. Like people don't know actually how to play their instruments and write things. Like I would kind of call it like a lesser Arctic Monkeys, right? Like just the way like he does it, mostly just in like lyrics, because he literally talks
a little
about
more emo than Arctic Monkeys, I would have thought.
talks about like nothing.
There's one fucking in the lyrics to Holy Toledo, someday I'll be far
paying-
away, bullet in my brain because my life's a cliche. I wasn't like, that's an Arctic Monkeys lyric right there.
True.
Yeah, I wasn't really paying attention to much of the lyrics, but I did.
Well, 'cause
like,
that's
when I was listening, I didn't. There was never anything that stood out to me like, that comparison would suffice. And it's not even like his performance is anywhere similar either, which I realize you're talking about lyrics and not performance, but like they're like with Arctic Monkeys, they're very intricately tied together.
Well, that's what one thing that I did really like about this album specifically was how far back in the mix they put the vocals on almost every song. Where
Oh yeah, I enjoyed that too.
because like so if you really wanted to listen to the lyrics, you would have to like almost strain a little bit, which I understand can turn people off who are into the vocal elements of the songs, or just in songs in general, like the lyrical elements. But I think that it adds more because it gives it much more of that like throwback, classic
Garage rock
rock-ish
vibe,
garage rock vibe. Like
Yeah.
as the intro to the song Troubadour, the first about minute or so, is like straight off of like an Allman Brothers album, or anything from that era. It's like but in the best way possible. Like you could just splice that into that album and it would be like, oh yeah, that's them doing it again. Like it just makes sense, which I think is good, because the worst thing you could be is attempting to imitate or like call back a certain style and then do it badly to the point where it's like, oh, this is a bad impersonation and not a good homage. And I feel like everything this album does is a really good homage. I think this should be, I agree with Cruz, I think this should be the baseline. It should be less about like the really spacey, like not atmosphere necessarily, but more like, it should be less about
Lyrically focused.
the low key stuff, yeah, and it should be more about putting out quality shit.
I mean,
I
when,
really
I,
enjoy
when
it.
I when I was saying the thing earlier about it not being, too distinct, I wasn't trying to be like
No, well, yeah,
negative about it, because I
yeah,
enjoyed this album a lot.
yeah.
But
You
I
said
was
that
just trying
it
to,
was a style that you like, but like I said, if it's not what you're looking for, it's gonna be lumped in with the stuff that you already don't like Cameron
yeah.
has the experience
And I
with.
was mainly trying to explain like the idea of like Cruz was talking about not seeing it anywhere, not seeing anyone ever talk about it. And it's like I was thinking about like, would you ever see someone talk about this on Mew? And no one's gonna be coming out and being like, this thing's so different that it's like it's so phenomenal you have to listen to it. Even though it is like a very well made album, like I can't think of much that I did not like about the album. But it's like
But the rest of it's kind of
generally,
non-memorable.
yeah, generally the things that people talk about have some element about them that's just like that is going to be like hit or miss, and the people who like it are just going to shill it because they like these like in the aeroplane over the sea has these really dumb lyrics about like wanting to fuck Anne Frank and shit, and it's like, okay, people are gonna connect to that and they're gonna shill it because of it, and that's probably not gonna happen with an album like this. And that's why I was just trying to explain that idea.
Dude, I don't know, because I mean, like I said, I think it just depends on what your baseline is, like what your starting point for what you're looking for is. Because I feel like this it's always your first album in a genre generally has the or like the first one that you really identify with and really enjoy has the power to kind of like influence your opinions on other ones that you listen to in the same vein. So if your first indie rock album is like something like Funeral, or anything that's like just the opposite of this. I'm not saying that yours. I'm just saying this is just like in general, like just generalization here. Like you're gonna air quotes sleep on this because it's like, oh, this isn't the same thing that I'm already looking for.
Yeah.
So you end up where things that are in the same broad genre but in a smaller pocket of it get kind of like they don't get as much attention. They kind of get swept up a little bit because they don't have their clout up.
Literally no clout.
But I think that if I was gonna make a list of like my top, this would go into top 100 at this point for sure. And if I was just gonna do strictly in the indie rock genre, I think this would honestly be like somewhere near the top, because I think this is just like, now that I've listened to this album, other stuff that I listen to, I'm gonna want to be closer to this. And one little tidbit, I already had this album saved in my saved albums on Spotify apparently. So I guess I got something in here on my Discover Weekly and liked it enough to save it and never listened to it. So I thought that was because I had when Cruz suggested this album, I was like, that sounds familiar, and that's why, because it's been sitting under the V section in my thing for probably a year or two now that I just haven't touched, and I'm glad that I had a reason to listen to it.
Yeah, it's good you get that Cruz suggested it then.
Yeah, if you don't
Yeah.
like it, you're a sheeple.
You gotta listen to their other 2 albums now.
I do. Apparently, I have to listen to Gawk because apparently it's better,
Yeah.
Yeah,
which I find
You gotta
impossible.
gawk at gawk.
yeah.
Yeah, I think the last guy on the album cover liked Gawk.
Dang.
Does anybody else have anything else to add?
I fucking dig Sad Clown.
Sad Clown's a bop.
I really like Sad Clown.
Have you seen Vundabar perform live?
No.
They haven't come to Atlanta yet.
I don't think they tour. I think they might be breaking up here soon. Maybe not.
Damn.
Million.
It's every band that I get into.
Yeah.
Every band that you like.
I don't know. That might be false.
They've got concerts on Spotify.
They might not be.
You just go to
Not
the
a popular band.
They are
Apparently.
Yeah, they're more popular than my band.
they're touring with Joyce Manor right now.
Oh my god, sign me up, dude. When and where?
$1
$1 million to go to that show, am I right?
The only 5 in the tour that have not happened yet are West Coast.
That's good, I'm already out there.
Yeah. West Coast, nigga.
Yeah, West Coast.
And then after that, they are touring as the headliner.
Yeah. They're touring with
they're
nobodies.
They're coming to Atlanta on the 16th of next month.
Hell yeah, I'll be there. I'll drive over there. I'll walk there.
The Drunken Unicorn.
Yikes.
I'm not sure if I'm willing to drive out for Vundabar. I'm not gonna lie.
Mm-hmm. What if I walk there? What if I walk to your house and then we drive together?
Well, if you walk to my house and you're like, we're going to the Vundabar concert, like, okay. All right.
Just show up on your doorstep like, hey,
That
excuse
sounds
me.
alright with me.
It is Wonderbar time.
They're being supported by Illuminati hotties. How can you not? How can you
Oh my
not get
God,
out for the
I fuck with Illuminati hotties as well.
Never heard of it.
Naughty hot.
No, I never heard of them either, but just conceptually, I fuck with them.
Uh-huh.
Every hot girl I know has had some association.
Association with the Illuminati.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're on that New World Order shit.
Hell yeah. The New World Order. So, unless anybody has anything else to add to Cruz's album.
I guess.
album.
Yeah, this album was like almost a 3, but
It's pretty Vundabar, if I'm
oh
being
my
honest.
god. XD. Do your album.
My album was Unnoticeable in a Tiny Town, Invisible in the City by Norwegian post-rock outfit Youth Pictures of Florence Henderson. I discovered this album via a prominent YouTube channel. Prominence the stretch. A YouTube channel that I follow that called Where Post Rock Dwells, shout out, who just upload more, little known post rock albums up on their page. This one, for example, has 2,000 views on YouTube, which is where I got it from originally.
We out here.
It's, I believe if I'm remembering correctly, it's their first album, and then they didn't put anything out for like 6 years, and then they started putting out, and they put out an album, and then it's been another 6 years since they've done anything. Which kind of bums me out because I really like what they have going on, especially relevant to other post-rock music, which I find can be very, 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 very hit or miss with people, which is why I'm very interested. I wanted to put it in here because I think out of everybody here, I listen to the most of this genre specifically, and I think that it's interesting enough. It's more on the I can't say alternative really, but it's more on the less. There's other post-rock music, like when people think post-rock, they might think something that sounds a little bit different than what this album is doing.
This wasn't like post-rock. It was like
This was like
it was like sad core.
Yeah, it's
Plus
like it feels weird to
post-rock,
say alternative
almost.
post-rock because it already is alternative enough. But it
Yeah.
seemed like it's more, and it's it's not in the beginning of the genre, but 2005 is still in the first decade or so of the genre being a thing. So this is more on the front end of it. Um, and knowing that some
Hello,
of
hello,
us in
hello.
here might not.
Do I
some of
sound
us-
normal?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, my headset did the shit where I have to unplug it and plug it back in. Drivers like fuck up or something. So if you guys heard my volume coming through the laptop, I was sorry about that. But I'm back. I'm ready.
All good. But knowing that there's people in the show here who probably don't listen to even remotely close to the amount of this genre I do, I'd love to hear what everybody thought about it.
I'll start off here. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure. Yet we continue to build there. The structure is one of my favorite pieces of media ever. Like, it's just so fucking good. Like I can't like not. Well, every time I start hearing it, I just can't not stop and just listen to it. Like
And I'll have
it's
you know, I've been searching for at least a year now to try to find the interview that they sample in the for the main majority of the first half of the song.
That's just
And
Charles Manson.
I thought it was Charles Manson, but I don't think it is.
I'm almost positive that is Charles Manson.
It sounds 100% like him, and I've been trying to find that interview specifically, and just even searching specific just specific things that he says, it's not coming up anywhere.
I think that has to be Charles Manson just based on his voice. Because like I when Death Grip sampled him, like that's that man's voice.
It is, but then he's talking about how he was in prison for he's been in prison his whole life, and
36
Charles
years.
Manson Charles Manson only went to prison after, after all the shit that happened in the 60s.
No, I think
And
he was in like juvie or something.
But then he was talking about how he got out of prison in 60 or 70 or something after doing 10 years, which Charles Manson was 30 when he did all of his shit.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But...
That's because my first thought was also just Charles Manson because it sounds exactly like him.
Maybe,
So I didn't know.
Maybe he was just saying some bullshit about how he's been in prison his whole life.
Well, and
just...
another element of it too is I
don't
wonder
know.
if there's a point where they have a Charles Manson interview and then they have just some random guy doing the interview questions, but it matches up a little too well for that to be the case too. But
that would be interesting.
that's just a side note. I've been looking for that interview for a while because I really do like the kind of message it gives the song. I really vibe with that.
yeah, it really accompanies it very well. And like I said
Whenever
before,
I hear,
I like
whenever I
when
hear
they
what
do
I
that
believe
shit.
to be a Charles Manson sample, I instantly like the song kind of.
Who the fuck is Charles Manson?
What?
Wait, you're uncultured. You're actually uncultured.
He's a cult
Charles-
leader from the 60s and 70s.
Oh, yep, got it.
Yeah. Died recently.
Yikes.
Oh, he died? I thought he was
Yeah,
still...
he died last year or this
Yeah,
year.
last year or the year before, I think.
Damn.
Yeah, it was last year.
November 19th, 2017. We're getting close to the anniversary.
Yeah.
Yeah, a
Isn't
lot
that
of people
when
died last
Vundabar's
year, this
performing?
year.
What?
Isn't that when Vundabar is doing their tour?
Oh, it's
Isn't
the
it
day
November
after.
19th?
Yeah, it's the day.
Dang.
Oh no, it's 3 days after.
Oh, it's the 16th, okay.
Yeah. Unlucky.
That'd
If
be
only it
something
was.
else.
If only it was the anniversary. It'd be such a. It'd be the streams. It's the crossing of the streams for the podcast.
Yeah,
you know?
crossing the beams.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but besides that, I think it's some solid post rock. Nothing to complain about. I like the guitar. I like the mixing. Like, it's not too loud. It's not too not loud. The song titles are some fucking shit. Like,
Some bangers.
you don't want to think about that stuff. Like, Van Gogh kept painting himself because he was the only model he had. Like,
I'll have you know that I think I've said that before to somebody, just making an offhand
you-
remark about that.
Yeah, you just said the troll.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was half expecting there to be a bonus 7th track. What if Bigfoot is just blurry?
yeah, oh shit. What if Bigfoot is just blurry though?
Another one. My whole life, track number 8. My whole life, I've been a slave to the feedback loop.
Oh, there we go. There's another one.
Oh,
And I think just to kind of bounce off what Cruz was saying too, a lot of post rock is very, or at least much more prominent stuff. Like Godspeed comes to mind, Explosions in the Sky, is much more ambient, atmospheric, very much about start slow, just work your way up to the massive build up, which this album does. It has that formula, but it seems like they do other things. For one, they have a strong vocal element, which is uncharacteristic. Not a lot of post rock tends to have a lead singer per se, or if they do, it's much more. I mean, not that this isn't abstract, but it's, you get stuff like Sugar Ross where he's just made up a language and is doing like scat vocals in it when you go the vocal track. So, but they do these things to kind of like almost to shrink the space that it's operating in, so it feels more together. There are parts where it's like 3 minutes of like very little instrumentation and it builds up, but especially in like in the first track Van Gogh, there's very much like a cohesive element where like for the main refrain it's very together, and there's not a lot where it kind of breaks off and goes very atmospheric, which I think is something that I haven't heard from a lot of this genre, and something that I really, really, really like about the album. What did you think, Cameron?
So, this album was I liked it, but I don't think I was ever in the state of. Well, actually, no. I did listen to it at nighttime, like at like 2 a.m.
Did you have an existential crisis?
No. Yeah, this is the Existential Crisis album.
Yeah, I'll have to relay that
Okay.
story.
Yeah. But yeah. Because I went into this album like with that knowledge, so I just had to make sure. And I can certainly see it because it has similarities to the album that I had an existential crisis with, which I will pick someday.
Hell yeah.
Coming soon. But well, it's similar in the sense that like it's just like very sad sounding music.
Sad white man on guitar.
Yeah, it's a sad white man on guitar, more or less. But I never listened to it on headphones, which is probably a mistake. Since I don't know, like for me, like there's just a big difference between like certain like music when it's on headphones versus when it's on speakers. And nowadays I like mostly just use my speakers by default, which can sometimes make things sound worse. Like I think listening to like Vundabar just now, it sounded a little better on my headphones because I only had listened to it on my speakers previously, so I need to remember to like always just do both of those. So, but for this album, I liked it, but I feel like for stuff like this where it's like very just sad sounding music, and it either gets you or it doesn't. Essentially, like I feel like it's very minute things that are hard to describe, or at least hard for me to describe about like what about the actual music makes it get you or what makes it not get you. Mm-hmm. And this one just happened to like not get me, whereas like Melancholy or like the Crywink albums or Teen Suicide gets me, or like This Is a Long Drive.
But to be fair, I don't necessarily think that the music is very like.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be listened to like that, but like when I hear it, that's what I think.
And that's understandable because the music does go that direction. But I think
it does imply that should happen.
Well, especially some of the lyrics too get kind of, especially the last half of the album I think is a little more like outside of that box, but especially the first song really, that is kind of the mood for the album, huh?
Yeah.
Our greatest ire, our greatest pain, and we spoil it all the way on written words.
Yeah, I mean the favorite song, the name of the album and the name of the song combined with like the album art just all gives that kind of vibe.
Yeah. I don't understand the album art at all.
Yeah.
That's just wild. I do really like it.
That's modern art.
Yeah.
I tried to get a T-shirt with that on it, but they sold out in like 2007. Because they haven't updated their online store since the last album came out, which I think was 2012. So youth pictures, where you at, guys? What do you think, Jack? I don't think you've listened to a lot of this genre. I could be wrong about that.
I don't. Most of my experience with post-rock is seeing people
shit on it on
say, not even shit on it, like people on Mute, they like Godspeed and shit.
Acknowledge that it's the whitest genre.
They do acknowledge that it is the whitest genre.
Some people on there do despise post-rock.
Oh yeah,
post-rock's like the NPC, like I'm into deep music, like post.
Yeah. No, I mean I've listened to I've listened to the two big Godspeed albums, the second and third ones I think they are. The hands.
Mm-hmm.
What's the hands?
Pepe hands.
So that's basically like the extent of my actual experience with this genre.
I've never listened to those albums either, so I wish I could have a more accurate comparison.
Well, you don't need to listen to those albums; they're not very good. So
I
I just Skinny Fist gets so much fucking praise, and I just never listened to it.
never got it.
The album's great. See,
I
but
mean,
that's what I mean. It's like I think it applies for post rock too. Like as long as
Oh yeah, your
as
intro.
much as like sad shit, it really is
Oh.
like minute things.
I was gonna say too. I feel like your introduction to post rock is also entirely gonna dictate your genre because there's like five big avenues you can go down with this genre,
Yeah.
and like whichever one you go down first, that's your vibe. That's
Yeah.
why black gaze has such a polarizing following because it's like
oh well, yeah, black gaze technically is a post rock subgenre, isn't
yeah.
it? So
yeah.
I
Like,
have
if
listened.
you're-
I've listened to
like Death
Sunbather.
Heaven
I
or
actually
something?
I like Sunbather a lot.
Sunbather. Because what it
Yeah.
is, but the thing is, for people who are really into, stuff like Tortoise or Mogwai, Sigur Rós, Explosions in the Sky, like the earlier stuff, absolutely hate. And I'm just a generalization, but there's a very big.
They don't like Godspeed.
They really no, they don't like Death Heaven or Sunbather or the Black Gaze stuff because because that's not the post rock that they know.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then Godspeed's more on a more.
In
From what I
between.
understand, a more like aggressive-ish, but still kind of in the same direction as like your normal, really spacey post-rock stuff. And I mean, but they get they're out there doing their best. They get a lot of credit.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, so like, whichever pocket you get into, it's unlikely that like you'll have the same appreciation for other aspects of it. Which is why I think that this is an interesting album. Well, I mean, nobody knows about this album anyway, so it's like, that's whatever. But I think specifically this is kind of like between a couple pockets of it, which I think is interesting. But
My thing is like my introduction.
well, let's let Jack finish what he was saying first. Jack never got that out.
I mean, yeah. So it is a genre I'm not too intimately familiar with. I have listened to I've listened to the Godspeed stuff. I've listened to Sunbather, and I like Sunbather. I didn't think much of the Godspeed stuff. I really couldn't like. My brain is too small for it, I think. So I wouldn't say I dislike it, but I feel like I have to listen to it again to see if I get it. But other than that, not much experience. I don't even like. I understand why Black Gaze and Sunbather are considered like a post-rock subgenre, but I'm not like when I was listening to this, I did not make a connection there at all.
Oh yeah, I don't think this falls into that at all, really. But
oh yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm just saying that like in
Oh,
general,
I see what
like,
you're saying,
I
yeah.
didn't relate it in any way.
well, there's also, I mean, maybe Black. I mean, like there is a prominent post rock genre where it is just like these instruments, like just the very spacey
Yeah.
with just black metal vocals, which is kind of a little different than what Black Gaze does. And I think Black
Yeah.
Gaze is kind of an offshoot of that. So maybe
Right.
it's unfair to call Black Gaze a strictly post rock like subgenre,
right.
but
Right.
it's not a huge step away from some things that do happen with the subgenres in here.
Right.
But this is not. This is a little different than that.
But so because I wasn't very familiar with the the genre, I kind of mentally I was relating this more to like longer-winded indie stuff.
Which is really what post rock is at its core.
Yeah, but I don't
With
think
the shortest song on the album being 6 minutes and 2 seconds.
yeah. I don't necessarily think like this is actually all that like dissimilar to like even like Golden Drugs from a couple podcasts ago. It was something that I found enjoyable in a very similar sense to that. Where it is that album was more vocally focused than this one is, I would say, but this one it's like the rock instrumental construction, but with kind of different focus, with a very long-winded, very not necessarily repetitive, but like it's about like long sections where they're building up and shit,
Mm-hmm.
and so I related, and that's something that was I enjoyed. But I'm not sure if it's really my thing.
Yeah, this takes me back slightly to a conversation we had on the previous podcast that we used to do, when I put the Save Us from the Archon album on,
right.
about the whole instrumental thing, which is why I
Right.
picked this one over
One that
something
was
like
purely instrumental.
Explosions or
Right.
that is just instrumental. Because
Right.
I mean, and the thing is, honestly, if I'm being honest, it took me a couple listens of this to realize that it was actual singing and not just samples of stuff together. Because it is kind of a
Right.
little
Actually,
far back in there.
yeah. Similarly, I didn't really register that either until like my last listen to the album because my first listen to the album was very unfair in that I was listening on my I was listening on my headphones at work, and my headphones are now broken, so one of them just doesn't work.
To be
And
fair, though, that's the exact kind of environment that I think this sort of music works. You don't. This isn't
I
some
mean,
stuff
it works in that environment, but
but you only
it
heard half of
does.
it.
Yeah, this album does have more prominent panning than the other albums that we listened to this week. So there was stuff that I was missing, and I feel like that hurt my experience with the first couple of listens. So I really do want to spend more time with this one. I was actually, I listened to all the albums like at least 4 times, but well, three or four times each. But I wanted to listen to this one more, so I probably will give it another try. Because I thought it was interesting, but I'm not like too
Not sure why.
how I feel about it. I'm not sure
Yeah.
what it is about it that I enjoyed.
It might just be interesting because it's different than other stuff you listen to.
Yeah, there's some it might be a novelty thing. So
Which isn't a bad thing.
I do find the entire genre concept of post rock interesting.
Yeah, it doesn't really make much sense because it doesn't sound like rock at all, really. It's not like post anything.
But so yeah, it is. I mean, that's the idea, right? The idea is that it won't sound like rock. Even is that they're using rock instruments to make stuff that doesn't sound like rock music, which is particularly interesting to me because as I am someone who quite likes electronic music, which a lot of this felt okay. So the other day, me and Cruz went to the record store and we went digging through these bins of like half off records that no one was buying, so they were all half off records. Yeah, and I got this album called Cyborg Sally by Richard Pinhas. Who's like, and so it's like the album itself is not early electronic music because it came out in 1994, but the guy was an early electronic pioneer and was definitely like in that vein.
Mm-hmm.
And that stuff feels very similar to this in a sense. Where
it's
they do actually use
it's separating itself while still keeping a tether so that you can like know where it's coming from.
Yeah, they do use like guitars on a lot of the early electronic stuff.
I will concede that if somebody was like, I'm trying to get into post rock, give me like, the what do they call it?
The hits.
Like just give me
the starter pack.
Give the starter pack. That's it. I don't know that I would include this one in there because it is
unless they were just big teen suicide.
Because it's not very dissimilar, but it's dissimilar enough that I can't think of a lot of post rock that's this compact. Like because a lot of post rock you're gonna listen to, unless you have like headphones and are playing at very high volume, there's gonna be a lot of parts of it where you think there's just nothing playing, because it is just quiet to loud, the build up, the soundscapes and stuff. While this does follow more of like there's very prominent drum parts on here, which is also, that are like, kind of like little marching beats almost. That is kind of a unique thing that I've noticed as well, which is not something that usually it's like a lot of cymbals. But I think that this is probably my favorite, or definitely top 2, maybe number 1, my favorite post-rock album, at least right now. And that's why I wanted to throw it up here. But the existential crisis I had while listening to this, I for about a good 2 months, I was using this album to help me fall asleep. I was listening to this when I was laying down in bed. At one time, I was like just falling asleep and waking up every like 5 minutes for like a couple hours. And so I fell asleep and woke up. I fell asleep listening to the first song because it had looped, and then I woke up again when the first song was, when it was doing the part where he just keeps saying, and we spoil it all away on written words, like near the middle to the end part. And it just kept going and going, and I was like, damn, I've only been asleep for like 10 minutes. And I looked at my phone, and it had been like 3 hours, and I was like, wait, what's going on? And then I fell asleep again and had a dream where I was just kind of like walking in a city, and it was like still playing in my ears. I could still hear it in my dream. and then I woke up again, and it was at the same point in the album again, and I started to have a very I had a bad trip about what time was, because I thought that time was only passing for me when I was awake, and I was like, damn, that's fucking lit. So I went back to sleep, then woke up again, and time had passed, and I was like, wait, that's fucked up. Like I thought we had worked something out. And I wasn't on any drugs or anything. I was just in like between dream and being awake situation. And I didn't listen to the album for like a couple weeks after that because I was kind of scared. But we're back on it again. It's back in the rotation. Yeah. Did anybody else have any other closing thoughts about it?
This is probably one of the more interesting post rocks I've heard. My introduction to post rock started with the one Mogwai song.
Okay.
However you pronounce that.
Mogwai,
Like
yeah.
the one song
Which
I
album is
forget
it?
its name. It's from
Is it off
Rock Action. I know that.
Oh,
Well, let me
that's not
check.
the one that's not the one I'm familiar with.
Well, the one on YouTube. Take Me Somewhere Nice.
Okay.
Yeah, it was that, and then I heard Godspeed, and I think like post rock is, I don't know, it's not really about what you think is good so much as it's just like, for me at least, it's not about what I think is good versus it's just what hits me. Like I like Godspeed.
And that's 100% understandable.
Yeah, I like Godspeed not because I think it's good, it's because Godspeed hits me at the right time.
It does depend on the way you listen to it for sure.
Yeah, and like parts of Godspeed, I think like a specific part of Godspeed, I think is bad, but still the parts that hit me are just why it's so highly ranked on my, on my list.
That's how I am with The Earth Is Not a Cold Dead Place, which is I think the third or fourth maybe, Explosions in the Sky album. There's just parts that are like, wow, like I'm gonna cry right now. And then I remember that they did the music for Friday Night Lights, the movie and TV show, and I'm like, we can hold it back. Also, I found out, this is completely irrelevant because this is a different band we're talking about, but I found out that they also composed Explosions in the Sky, did the film score for one of my favorite movies. Never knew. I was shocked. I didn't know post-rockers got around in the music or kept like soundtracks scene as much as they do.
Makes sense.
Especially like in like 09 to like 15. Like there was a lot of post-rock bands doing soundtracks. I think Sigur Rós did a soundtrack for some like Icelandic, I want to say Rams maybe, something like that. But I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. I didn't know how this was going to go over because I know that this is a little outside of I guess Sebastian's kind of outside of the zone as well, but this is a little outside of what we all normally listen to. So I'm glad that it wasn't Blueface level.
I think it'd be hard for this to be Blueface level. Like,
I don't think post-rock can ever get to Blueface level, personally.
It's hard for most things to be a 10 out of 10, I know.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's hard for most things to go to a 17 out of 10.
Type shit.
I'm pretty sure we picked every album was like almost in like the centerfold of what each of us like listens to, like primarily.
I don't know. Yeah.
Oh.
At least in Cameron's pop music section, that was definitely in there. I don't know if I would say that Cameron listens to pop music.
I don't know if I call this define centerfold.
Like
Cameron music, Cruise music, Jack music, Alex music.
Yeah, let's say there's three genres you particularly listen to, and it's one of those three genres.
Yeah, that's Jack music, like to the core.
You guys, okay, you say like, oh, this week we did that, but like, I feel like every week when I'm listening to the playlist, like the first song on Cruise's album comes on, I'm like, yep, this is Cruise music.
Is that how you feel about Alex music too? With the Ripe album, the funk album, and the rock album.
Last week was like the exception. Like last week we all picked.
You thought the Moon Landings was Alex music?
Like that one, like less so.
Yeah, that's not Alex music.
But
Gregory on Ishikov though, 100% folk and post rock.
Yeah, like Moon Landings was kind of off, but Some Damaged Youth was like, I heard the first time, I'm like, yep, Cruz picked this one, you know.
That's not even his fault.
It's like first record. It's the first episode. It's like, oh, I hear the.
So do you think that if
folk, and it's like, oh, it's Alex.
If Cruz just gave you the playlist and didn't tell you who picked what, do you think you'd be able to identify who picked each album?
Yes.
You think so?
Yeah, I mean, like most weeks, I don't like.
I feel like most weeks you can just like it's obvious, kind of.
Yeah, but like it's also like, you know, I don't pay attention to like the to like what everyone else is picking when we're actually picking it, and like.
I think
so
it's
like
more.
when I look at the playlist, like 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 this week it would be like, okay, I'm sure the pop album was picked by Cameron, but I wonder which of the other two picked the other two, and it's like I hear the first song on Vundabar, and it's like, okay, yeah, it's probably Cruise,
Well, 'cause
and
if
then
we
I
had to
hear
read-
the first one of yours, and it's like, oh yeah, that one was definitely Cruise, this one's definitely Alex.
Well, because I think for me, it's less about like I listen to it and I know who would pick it. It's more about I listen to it and know immediately who wouldn't.
Oh, I mean, yeah,
Like, I wouldn't. Like, even though I was like electronic music, this is gonna be Jack. My first instinct was, well, this isn't Cruise.
yeah. I
And
mean,
I was like, well, I know
understand,
it's not me.
I understand that, but
But I just see what you're saying. I think one week it could be interesting if we each pick one that's in. Somebody picks a Jack music album, but not Jack. Somebody picks a Cruise music album. Alex music, Cameron music.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Switch it up and then just be like.
I mean, I don't think we should ever try to do that intentionally, but I do think that we should think about picking things that are a little more.
I feel
Less
like
us.
I don't know what Cameron music is, honestly.
I
'cause-
do. Cameron music's the last 3 weeks of the podcast.
Okay, but the first album I picked.
Put the new
First
Street
week-
Sex album in.
Loud,
I picked some
funny,
stupid shit.
or
Loud,
different.
funny,
If
experimental.
it's
Those are the
loud,
three.
yeah, loud, funny, or experimental. If it
Loud, funny,
hits,
I guess everything I
if
have
it
done
hits
is loud,
2
funny,
out of those
and
3, you're good to go. Like
Yeah.
Cameron will
Cruise
like it.
music. Cruise music is Japanese indie fiesta. And then Jack is French house music. Those are the 3.
the French.
Etnamine, marijuana.
Oh.
I'm gonna.
Loud, funny, experimental.
That's 90% of what you listen to.
I gotta do some other shit. let me pull up Never-Ending Chart rendering.
Because I'm pretty sure. So Blueface is loud and funny.
Mhm.
All right.
Black dresses is loud and loud.
Black Dresses is
experimental.
loud and experimental.
Golden Drugs is
uh,
experimental.
Experimental, yeah.
This
yeah,
was.
Oh, that's
experimental.
just one of those, yeah.
Hey Violet was funny, but not for the right reason. But I think even some stuff like
you
you listen
can
to
call
like.
Hey Violet loud, I guess. Well,
Well, I mean, like so stuff
I
like
don't know.
Superorganism, for example. I would call that. I would stretch that to be experimental to a degree.
yeah, I know it's pop music, and I don't know. I listen to pop sometimes, so it's just like it's like this special 4th category or something. I don't know.
Street Sex, loud, experimental.
Oh, did you see that the new album dropped?
Yeah, I haven't listened to it yet.
I'm gonna do that shit. That shit slaps.
Did you?
No, I said I might. Damn.
Oh.
Oh, you listened to it? I saw that it came out, but I didn't listen to it.
No one has listened to it, Jack.
Oh, I thought you said it was.
No, I
slaps.
said I'm about to.
It looks like it slaps. He does.
Yeah,
I thought you were saying you would pick it because you thought it slapped. Okay, never mind.
I like the album cover. The album cover looks nice too.
yeah,
All right,
Yeah.
Anyway,
we're done, right?
yeah. But that's it. Yeah.
Thanks for listening. Follow Cruise's Twitter, subscribe.
Hit that motherfucking bell.
hit that bell to get instant notifications when a video goes live.
A video every week.
As usual.
Tweet
Thanks
it
for
Cruise if you
watching.
want our charts.
Yeah, our charts are our merch.
Mm-hmm.
You know what it is.
cut the
Subscribe to our
fucking recording.